Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to AnTalk, the weekly comic conversation. So today I want to talk to you about a comic book series revolving around Iron Fist. So maybe you read comics and you've never read Iron Fist and you're looking for a place to start, or maybe you don't read comics and you've seen Iron Fist on Netflix or The Defenders and you're like, hey, he seems cool, I want to read up on him and maybe that could be my way into comics. Well, this is a good place for you to start, especially if you don't want to go back to the 70s and all that, where he first was originated. This is a story that's a little more modern and maybe a little more accessible that you might like to check out. The Immortal Iron Fist, Volume 1, The Last Iron Fist Story, is a run based on Danny Rand, aka Iron Fist, written by Ed Brubaker and Matt Fraction. Like I said, this is Volume 1 of the Immortal Iron Fist series, issues 1 through 6. If you want to read all 6 issues in one book, you can do what I did and pick up the graphic novel. I have it here on paperback. It's pretty thin. It's not very thick, but it's definitely worth checking out if you want to get into Iron Fist. The collected issue, like I have, came out in 2007, but I believe the series started being released in 2006. This is the beginning of the Immortal Iron Fist story. I'm going to tell you a little bit of the overall story and what I think about it. Then I'm going to go deeper into detail, which will be spoiler heavy, but I'll let you know when that time comes. This won't be the only Iron Fist comic I do. I do want to do Volume 2 of this series because, trust me, it's one of the best Iron Fist comics you can read out there. But I wanted to go over this because it is a good intro and it is a good place to start, like I said, if you want to get into reading Iron Fist comics. And it definitely sets you up and leads you into this bigger story. So if you know anything about Iron Fist or Danny Rand because you read comics and you just kind of have a general knowledge for things, or you've seen the Netflix series Iron Fist or The Defenders and you kind of got an idea for what his character is about, then this is definitely a good place to start because it doesn't hold your hand, because you're not just jumping right into something. It's the beginning of a story, but it's modern and it's not a retelling of his origin story. It gets going into the action pretty quick, and it does give you some glimpses into his past and backstory to refresh you and get you back up to speed. And as you read on, you realize there's a lot to the Iron Fist mythology to be expanded on and a lot of history to be learned. And not even Danny Rand knows all this, so it's new to everyone. And like I said, it's modern, but it is, about 10 years old now. Overall, I like Volume 1 of The Last Iron Fist story. It's short, sweet, sets up something larger. It's not groundbreaking or anything, but it does what it's supposed to do. And this thing definitely has some cool, new, interesting elements. And one of my favorite things is how it shows you the history of the mantle/power of the Iron Fist throughout the ages. Without getting too deep into the story right now, it starts off with Danny Rand being chased and fighting off a small Hydra army. And you learn that not only is he having to deal with this Hydra army at the moment as Iron Fist, but they are also infiltrating Rand Corporation on a corporate level, and there's a lot more going on underneath the surface. On top of all that, this story takes place during Marvel's Civil War, the big overarching comic book event that affects everyone in the Marvel comic book universe, even down to their individual storylines. If you're watching this video, you're probably aware of Marvel's Civil War to some degree, whether from the comic books or even the MCU's movie incarnation. But real quick, Civil War happens after a tragic event involving superhumans, resulting in the government passing the Superhuman Registration Act, which makes it law for anyone with superhuman abilities or acting as a superhero vigilante to register their identity to the government, sparking a huge divide among heroes and even villains, causing the Civil War. You can probably guess which side of the line Danny Rand is on, seeing how keeping his real identity private is vital. So with half the heroes working with the government hunting down the rebels and the other half laying pretty low, Iron Fist really has enemies on all fronts and no one to have his back, with the exception of maybe one person. He can't even trust his girlfriend Misty Knight because she's signed and is on the other side. And whether or not you're a fan of Finn Jones as Danny Rand, in the comics, Danny/Iron Fist is actually really cool and a badass character in my opinion. He's laid back, he's lighthearted, and a badass. Meanwhile, this story introduces us to Orson Randall, who you learn was actually the previous Iron Fist dating back to 1915, while being chased by a character Davos, who has a long history with Danny, and you might know if you've seen the series. Orson Randall must track down Danny Rand in order to let him know the secrets and the history of the Iron Fist that could possibly prepare and save him for what's inevitably to come. And why would he do this? Well, you'll learn the deeper, more personal connection these two have with each other than them both being the Iron Fist. But I will say you do get to see some double fist action. But no, you do get to see two Iron Fists work together, and it's pretty awesome to see and read. Especially Orson Randall, who I think is a cool character and has his own style. And because of his deeper understanding of his power, he's actually pretty creative and fun with it. And you may be thinking, isn't one of the points to being the Iron Fist the fact that there can only be one? Well, that's what Danny thought too, but as he learns and we learn, there's a lot more to be discovered. And like I said, one of my favorite things about this story is the expansion and somewhat of a history lesson we get about being the Iron Fist. And that's a big part of why I say this is a good place to start when it comes to reading up on this character, especially if you've seen the show or know the basics of the character. It's not a retelling of his origin, as I said, but gives you just enough to refresh your memory. And it doesn't spend too much on who Danny is as a character, but it definitely still gives you the sense of who he is. But how it expands and tells you more about this power is pretty cool. Not only do they do this through Orson Randall's character, but throughout the story you get glimpses into the past at the other Iron Fists to come throughout the ages. Usually a few panels of an action scene. You see that over time Iron Fists have been different races and genders and have learned to harness and use their power differently. And what we find out about what it means to be the Iron Fist isn't as black and white as Danny has been led to believe. The Iron Fist, or whomever holds that title, is the protector of Kunlun, one of the 7 capital cities of heaven. Now that's 1 out of 7. In the Immortal Iron Fist series, overall, you will see more about these other cities, like Kun-Z, and how Orson Randall's actions of the past have come back to take effect in the present. And mutual grudges against the Iron Fist have Davos and the Crane Mother, the leader of Kun-Z, working together to destroy the 2 Iron Fist. And what would a comic run be without other comic book characters getting involved? You'll see appearances from Luke Cage, Misty Knight, Colleen Wing, and Lei Kung, Danny's teacher. They don't have big roles or anything, but these are all people in Danny's life that are important to him in one way or another. Let's talk about the art. Done by David Aja, with the help of various others over various issues, I'd say the panels throughout the story have a distinct style, that's for sure. Overall, it has kind of a dark tone. It's very shadowy, a lot of use of the color black, lots of silhouettes and shadows. It seems like some of the most detailed panels are the parts that are flashbacks to the past. Seeing all the different Iron Fists in action is one of the best aspects to this story. The art style is not my favorite, and there are some panels I like way more than others, but that doesn't mean I think it's bad. That being said, I think there are some awesome pictures in this comic, mostly all from action and fight sequences. That's something that I thought actually was really well done. Especially a lot of the moments with the 2 Iron Fists working together looks really cool. I love the way that Danny Rand as Iron Fist is displayed when he's in action. It just looks really good. Even though it's still shadowy, the action part looks great. And you really get the sense that he's extremely acrobatic and a kung fu master. He's always doing some cool jump, kick, or flip. I also like the design of his outfit for most of the story. Other than in the beginning where he wears his more classic outfit with the big V opening in the front that shows his bare chest, he wears this tight shirt that covers up his entire torso but still has this symbol on it. I don't know, maybe it just looks a little more realistic or something. As you can see on this cover, and there's other various images like this throughout the comic, was actually the inspiration for this year's Comic-Con outfit that I wore. So obviously some of the design choices I really do like. And it's really cool to see Orson Randall's gung fu style with the power of the Iron Fist. Overall, I did enjoy the Immortal Iron Fist Volume 1, The Last Iron Fist story. It's a pretty cool story that sets up much more but stands alone pretty decently. I love the inclusion in the character of Orson Randall. It's not one of the greatest comic book stories of all time and probably won't be revered as the classic that Volume 2 may be considered, but it does have some great moments and does the character of Danny Rand more justice than some incarnations. And where it's not necessarily great, it makes up for in the exploring and expansion of the mythology. not only to the reader but to Danny himself, only allowing him to develop more as a character. Getting to see two Iron Fists team up back to back was something to see, and it was unique, especially when they apply their different styles. Put all this together and you have yourself a pretty decent comic book. So whether you're looking for another comic book to read, or you've seen Iron Fist on Netflix or The Defenders and want to read up on the character now, then I'd say check this out. And look out in the future for my video on the Immortal Iron Fist Volume 2. Now I'm about to get into spoilers, so if you're going to leave now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care and thanks for watching. So the main spoilers I want to get into are, let's get into the backstory of Orson Randall. So Orson Randall's father was piloting an airship when it crashed into Kunlun. It was just Orson Randall's parents, and at the time Orson's mother was pregnant with him. So he was actually born in Kunlun and accepted as their native son, and he was raised and became the Iron Fist. During his time as the Iron Fist, he actually left his post at Kunlun and actually fought in World War I. And after a very violent few years, he pretty much refused to fight. And every so many years, the Seven Cities come together for this big event, in which Orson Randall refused to honor his city and refused to fight. And Crane Mother votes to have him pay for this. So the champion of Kunzi comes to strip Randall of his station as Iron Fist. He refuses to give that up. He fights, and then he actually kills Kunzi's champion and then flees, and he's laying low ever since. Years later, that time has come again, and Crane Mother wants revenge. She had her immortal weapon killed. Now she wants to kill Orson Randall. Crane Mother actually names Davos the champion of Kunzi, and all Davos wants in exchange is his shot to take out Danny Rand. I actually really liked looking into Orson Randall's past. I thought the artwork was done well, and it was done a little differently from the main story. And it was really cool, and you can see that he's just kind of this seasoned warrior, and after fighting in the war, which you get to see a glimpse of, you see that he's really trying to put it all behind him after fleeing Kunlun and all that. And you also see that his life was saved by a young Wendell Rand, who was basically an orphan and kind of taken in by Orson Randall after, having him save his life. Through this, Wendell learns about, being the Iron Fist in the city of Kunlun and all that, and he thinks it's his destiny, and that's what he wants to accomplish. He wants to find Kunlun and become the Immortal Iron Fist. And Wendell was actually looking for Kunlun when his plane went down, leading to his death, his wife's death, and eventually Danny was found by the monks and taken and raised in Kunlun from then on. And you see a lot of references to this in the beginning from Danny, as he constantly says to himself that this was his father's destiny that's really come down to him now. And that's where you see the big connection between Danny Rand and Orson Randall, Wendell Rand, Danny's father. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of like Orson Randall's story kind of led Danny Rand to be the Iron Fist, kind of like in a domino effect type way. And even down to their very core origins, it's almost like a foreshadowing. Orson's father's airship crashed in Kunlun, where he ended up being birthed and raised to be the Iron Fist, kind of like how Danny Rand, plane crash, found by the monks, raised to be the Iron Fist. So I think that's actually a pretty cool aspect. And now you see why Orson Randall would even care to let Danny know that there's more to be learned. And they go and they find the book of the Iron Fist, which Randall gives to Danny, says, here, look this over, study it, you'll need it for what's coming. Then Davos shows up with their army. They fight. Randall gets killed by Davos. And before he's gone completely, he tells Danny to take his chi, absorb his chi. Danny reluctantly does it. But when he does, he's twice as powerful for the time being, making it so Davos doesn't have a chance against him, and he flees. You even get to see Luke Cage, Misty Knight, and Colleen Wing show up to have their back, and it's pretty cool. You get to see all them fight in the end. But when it's all said and done, Davos is gone and Orson Randall has been killed. But just then, Lei Kung shows up, calls upon Danny, and tells him it's time. And without question, Danny knows he must go and pretty much fulfill his destiny. Luke offers to come with him. Danny says no, not this time. He knows he has to do this on his own. And that leads into volume 2 of this series. And like I said, I like this story quite a bit. I like the action, I like the mythology it adds, and I like the story that it's starting to build. All the spoilers I went over are all things I thought were pretty cool, and a lot of things add a lot of layers to this character. And I can't wait to get into more in the next video. So the Immortal Iron Fist, Volume 1. Issues 1 through 6, the last Iron Fist story. Have you read it? If you have, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, or tell me what's your favorite Iron Fist story. This is AnTalk, the weekly comic conversation. Thanks for watching. Take care. Hey guys, did you like this video? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos, click right here on this icon to become a subscriber. And if you are a subscriber, don't forget to ring that bell so you can stay updated with all my videos. And if you want to see another video just like this one, click right here. And as always, thanks for watching AnTalk, the weekly comic conversation.